Hello once again. Welcome back to another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. Thanks for joining me. It is the week after Thanksgiving now. 2023, we're on December 1st. And I'm going to run through the new releases in the shop for December 1st. A fairly sizable week, probably the last big week of 2023. And first of all, let me say thanks to all the well-wishers about what my cat is going through right now. She's rather young, still 9, and it's kind of a shock when you go to the vet hospital and they say, well, she's in heart failure, and they have her on oxygen right now and are trying to get fluid out of her lungs, and it's just, the prognosis is not good long-term, but anyway, thank you so much for all the kind words, because it's been sort of a depressing week from that standpoint. So anyway, nobody likes when a family member is ill. So all right, let me get to new releases. I'm so excited about this. You guys been waiting over 20 years for new material that was not orchestral reworkings of songs, cover songs, you name it. It's the new Peter Gabriel, In the Flesh. Kind of a strange cover. Kind of like it. So this is Peter's first album in 22 years of new material, I believe, since Up. And he's been dispensing one song a month throughout the year. Sort of just kind of drip feeding the album. I actually resisted listening to most of it, maybe heard 2 or 3 songs, certain mixes, not every mix. But anyway, so this is the bright side mix of the album. It's 12 songs, and Mark Stent was given the task of mixing this version of the album. Mark usually sort of has a very good pop ear and does very kind of like front and center type of mixing and very immediate kind of stuff. So this is the bright side mix, which is on, you'll know because it says bright side mixes, and it's got this pink sort of Opie type strip on it. Then on the flip side, you get not one but 2 versions of this album, the dark side mixes. These were done by Chad Blake, who tends to have a darker, more kind of I don't want to say thorny sound, but he's got a more kind of a muted sound and does more kind of like sonic exploration, a little less immediate for radio type situations, but maybe more immediate for artistic sides of it. So either one of these, and they feature the same 12 songs. What I've heard so far, they are generally slightly altered. I mean, I wouldn't say any of them were radical reworkings, but there are some slight differences, and some are significant differences, but nothing that's going to be like, oh, this is a different song. And then there's also this is the CD version with the Blu-ray, and there's a regular CD version. So the 2 CD version has both mixes on it, and then there's a 3-disc version that has both mixes and the Blu-ray with the Dolby Atmos mix. So pick your poison that you'd rather have. Let's see, as long as I'm over here, grab a couple other things here. All right, Peter Gabriel. Moving on, jazz stuff. This might have already been shown other places. We finally got ours. It's Grant Green, the 313 series, plus Blue Note Records partnership. These are mastered and cut by Warren DeFever from the original analog tapes. This is Grant Green's Live at the Mozambique. Let's see. So manufactured at Third Man in Detroit. Features Clarence Thomas on soprano sax, not that Clarence Thomas. Houston Person, Grant Green, Ronnie Foster, and Idris Muhammad. Or Idris Muhammad. I think it's Idris. Anyway. So that's been sort of an ongoing series. These are sort of, I don't know if they consider them audiophile, but they're sort of a special series. A send-up of Detroit, as it were. Then there's this. Two Blue Note Tone Poets this week. Grant Green. This is I Want to Hold Your Hand. So, Tone Poets, you know the drill. Kevin Gray, Joe Harley. Cut from the original analog tapes. This features Hank Mobley on tenor sax, Larry Young, Grant Green, and Elvin Jones on drums. These are mostly cover songs, I believe, all cover songs. There is the one Beatles song for I Want to Hold Your Hand, and then Speak Low, Stella by Starlight, Corcovado, This Could Be the Start of Something, and At Long Last, Love. So kind of a romantic album from Grant Green. Probably a good thing for the holiday season. And then on the flip side of that, the other Blue Note Tone Poet is McCoy Tyner's Extensions. I've always loved how this cover looks like, you know, sort of a send-up of a National Geographic magazine cover. This is same sort of situation. This one is not a gatefold, even though the other is. Message from the Nile, The Wanderer, Survival Blues, and His Blessings. This is from 1970. And I checked to see when this other one was from. 1966. So, yeah. The Grant Green is 66 and the McCoy Tyner is 70. This features McCoy Tyner on piano, obviously. Alice Coltrane on harp. Wayne Shorter on tenor and soprano sax. Gary Bartz on alto sax, so you know it's going to get a little out there. Ron Carter acoustic bass, and Elvin Jones again on drums. So Elvin doing double duty on those. The other sort of big jazz reissue of this week, another in the original Jazz Classics OJC series, The Cats, featuring John Coltrane. And this, we've had, funny, we went like months, it seemed like, without an OJC release, and then all of a sudden we get a couple at the same time. We just had Bill Evans, Sunday at the Village Vanguard, and then this one, John Coltrane, Kenny Burrell, Idris Suleiman, and Tommy Flanagan. And let's see, Doug Watkins and Lewis Hayes are also on here. The Cats. This was, let's see, what year was this recorded? 1959. 5 tracks. You know they're probably long. All right. Let's see, other new releases. Well, this is kind of a new release, I guess. It's been streaming for a few weeks now. Travis Scott's latest, Utopia. Travis being one of the biggest hip-hop artists out there. It's funny how artists like Travis, you know, they'll sell a lot of records, of past records, and then they put something new out. We'll have to see how it does. I've had other things happen with other similar artists where, you know, you kind of think about like, oh, how much they sold, and then the new one comes out and it does maybe okay, or, you know, I don't know. We'll see. Weezer, Seasons, Winter. Well, they did this whole series of EPs last year that were based around the seasons, loosely. And then this was the winter one, and it's finally out. This is on a limited edition milky clear vinyl to give you that snowy feeling. Starts with the song I Want a Dog and ends with the Deep and Dreamless Sleep. Let's see. There's another thing here from Khruangbin. Khruangbin? I can never say that quite right. Live at Sydney Opera House. So they've been putting out a series of live records all year, and this seems to be the first one that is all them. The others sort of shared the stages with other performers like Toro y Moi and the likes. This does have People Everywhere Shifting Sands remix, so I'm not sure how much of it is live and how much is sort of like alternate stuff, or not demos really, but additional material. But and that should wrap up their sort of live series that they were doing this year. Let's see, Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, Franzoli. That name is still one of the best names out there. One to rival King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So anyway, new Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. And also a new EP from Spiritbox. Kind of chewed up the cover right there. Not the cover, but the shrink wrap. The Fear of Fear, featuring Jaded on black vinyl. I think the Spiritbox sort of have a kind of a cult following type going, so new Spiritbox. Okay, the next set of stuff is all reissue type stuff. Steely Dan's Gaucho. Again, there's been a series of Steely Dan's coming out this year. Really expensive UHQRs, and then these are like the single albums just remastered by Bernie Grundman, I believe. And Gaucho was the last of the first run of Steely Dan albums. This is the one that features Hey 19. It's probably got one of the slickest, smoothest sounding albums out of those early Steely Dan records. I mentioned last week that there were some Kate Bush things coming out that were reissues. I showed Hounds of Love last time. This time I'm showing The Dreaming, which The Dreaming is on smoky mixed color, like a gray sort of vinyl. This is probably my favorite or second favorite Kate Bush album. The other one being The Sensual World, that I have right here. And that one features the title track and This Woman's Work, which is, and this is on ash gray vinyl. And This Woman's Work is probably one of her most beautiful songs. Also features David Gilmour and the Bulgarian voices on that one. So I don't know, both great albums. These are kind of expensive reissues, mainly because they've been remastered and they're on color vinyl. So and then there's something that said that they can't even be sold outside, like the US and Europe have two separate arms of that, and they don't want to sell one in the other territory, and I don't know, it gets so complicated sometimes. Daisy Jones and the Six, Aurora. Well, this came out this past year, but this is the deluxe edition of this. So it features the album and acoustic demos. It goes into a whole bunch of acoustic demos, then live tracks, which are, you know, sort of pseudo live tracks, because this is, you know, a creation for I mean, yes, they played their instruments, but this is a kind of a TV creation, right? And then finishes with some songs by Demi Lovato, Maren Morris. But if you like the movie or TV show and you feel like there was more music that they could have put out that they didn't, there you go. It's probably on that. One of my favorite Christmas albums, a very brief reissue, J.D. McPherson Socks. This is a limited edition color vinyl. Doesn't say what color here, but this came out. It's hard to believe this is like 5 years old already. Socks, the title track, is great. It's all about a guy who, when he was a kid or whatever, he opened his Christmas present and was angry because it was socks. I don't know. Some of us have been there. We know what that's all about. This is kind of, some people have been waiting for this. Sheryl Crow, Tuesday Night Music Club. Hopefully they get more of Cheryl's albums out there again. I know there were some problems. They were sort of thinking that they might have been lost in the Universal fire, the original master tapes. But yeah, remastered from the original master tapes. I think this was out for Record Store Day a couple years ago, but it was a few years ago. It was a double vinyl on a blue record, and this is just a single. So it's cheaper, but it's also like just one record. What else can I say about this? The one that was online, the Record Store Day one, was selling for like $250. So to get it back at $30 is a real bonus for people who've been wanting that album. And it features one of her biggest hits, All I Want to Do. What else does it have? Leaving Las Vegas, Can't Cry Anymore, Run Baby Run. Yeah, so there's like 4 or 5 really kind of strong debut songs from her there. Another record that is much more obscure that I don't know if people are even aware of this album, but Duran Duran Pop Trash. So this was Duran's album sort of when they were still a trio. It was just Simon, Nick, and then Warren Cucurullo. They were like the trio that did Midazoland in the late 90s. And this is before the big reunion when Andy Taylor and John Taylor came back around 2000 or early 2000s. I think this maybe came out in 2000. But this is probably their least selling and their least promoted album. They switched record labels at the time from Capitol to Hollywood Records, which, you know, is Disney run label, and they didn't know what to do with it, and so they did nothing with it. But it does feature the single Someone Else Not Me, which is a pretty good song. I mean, it's sort of an attempt at like another Ordinary World type song. I think the title track, Pop Trash Movie, is pretty great, and my favorite song in here is called The Sun Doesn't Shine Forever, and it's not a bad record. It's very like sort of you know, it's sort of ignoring the whole Britpop thing that happened in the 90s, but it's a good sort of like kind of glam rock collection. It does feature 2 versions of Someone Else Not Me at the end in Spanish and French, if you want to hear Simon sing those in other languages, if you understand those languages. All right, Collective Soul, Greatest Hits album, 7 Year Itch. This has been out on CD. This might be the first time on vinyl. Oh, yep, first time. Includes Shine, The World I Know, Run, December, and Heavy. Has a lot of hits from them. I know there's some people out there who are like, I like Collective Soul. I don't want full albums of theirs. I'd rather have a collection of collected. Here you go. It also features Perfect Day featuring Elton John. And I know Precious Declaration and Gel were also hit songs. So quite a few hits. Another big song of a certain era or album, Nelly Furtado's Loose. So this was Nelly's kind of switch up after doing the I'm Like a Bird kind of earthy type stuff, the Lilith Fair type stuff. Here she hooked up with Timbaland, and they did a very like beat heavy kind of groovy record, and I actually really liked this at the time. It's funny, all of the things that Timbaland sort of had his hands in, and I love a lot of Missy Elliott stuff, but this was a really great pop record that he sort of worked on a little bit. Maneater was a great song. Promiscuous was a huge hit. Say It Right was a hit. Then you get something like In God's Hands, which was a little more sort of back to the earthy type stuff. But No Doubt, the Beacon Street collection. This is one that I've never seen on vinyl before. Early recordings. So very early Gwen. See her laying on the ground there. So cute how the Beacon Street sign looks like a little Sesame Street. Anyway, this features Open the Gates and yeah, Blue in the Face. don't know if I ever heard that to begin with. Let's see. Fu Manchu, volumes 1 through 3. This is sort of like, Fu Manchu sort of stoner rock type stuff. All 9 songs from Fu Manchu's Fu 30 10-inch series remastered, plus a new mix of their cover of Russia's Working Man on a limited edition silver vinyl. I think they're trying to evoke Kiss here or something. I don't know. Maybe. I love this cover. Brainiac. This is reissue, alternative sort of rock from the 90s. Smack Bunny Baby is the name of the album. Let's see. Brainiac includes bonus track Velveteen Freak Scene, produced by Eli Janney. A noisy little devil that benefits greatly from a fondness for Moog synth and a good ear for buried melody. From Spin Magazine there. It's Craft Recordings 30th anniversary. It's so cool to see a lot of this stuff coming back that I haven't seen in so long. They Might Be Giants, an album called The Else. This is probably one of their most enigmatic albums that I sort of missed, yet it was produced by the Dust Brothers, who did like Beck's Odelay, I believe. Anyway, this is a 180 gram pumpkin mystery smoke colored vinyl. So They Might Be Giants, The Else. This looks fascinating. I don't think I've ever heard this album. The Gun Club, Mother Juno. And this is a reissue of their dreamy 4th album, produced by Robin Guthrie of Cocteau Twins and featuring Blixa Bargold on Yellow Eyes. So it's, I say, post-punk type stuff or art rock. Jeffrey Lee Pierce, Kid Congo Powers. Yeah, produced by Robin Guthrie, engineered by Lincoln Fong. So it would have been sort of during Cocteau era too. Probably sounds not much like it. Mount Joy, anniversary edition of the album Mount Joy. I don't know if I like anniversary edition right in the middle like that, but hey, you know, at least they're telling you. The cool thing about it is they add a 3rd side of extra songs. So if you're into Mount Joy, you might want to pick that up. Bad Brains, this has been out before, but this is on a new color variant. Limited edition banana peel yellow color, and it's sort of like a yellow with a looks like a grayish brown black mixed in to make it look like a banana peel. So there's that. And then finally, the vinyl ending with Kenny G, Innocence. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive. Don't ask me how we got this. Serenity Blue Opaque Vinyl, limited to 1,000. Well, geez, I think we're kind of lucky here. Kenny G fan, you might want to snap this up right away, because I bet it won't be around very long with only 1,000 on that color. And they didn't even all go to Barnes & Noble, weirdly. Let's see. And then there's a couple CDs I want to show, and then I'll give you my little mini review for the week. Violent Femmes self-titled album. This is a deluxe 2-disc affair, featuring the album and then the disc 2 demos and live recordings. Then you get Bill Evans' Tales, which this is live in Copenhagen. This is the one that was Record Store Day last week, Black Friday Record Store Day. I just realized there's something else I didn't show you. Ahmad Jamal, Emerald City Nights, live at the Penthouse. This was another Record Store Day thing featured last week that is now out on CD. And something I forgot to show, very important, Van Morrison, Moondance. This is the expanded 3 LP set with a new stereo remix by Steven Wilson, plus selected outtakes and alternates. Lacquers cut by Kevin Gray, pressed at Optimal. This is a 3 record set, but again, it is remixes. So all you Beatles purists who didn't like, you know, messing with your red and blue are probably not going to be happy about this either. Or anything that Steven Wilson touches, apparently, that is not a Steven Wilson recording. So, what can I say? I mean, I don't know, what can I say? I don't even want to get into it on this video. I see other guys, people talking about all these remixes on their videos and stuff and getting all worked up about it. And I'm like, you guys just need to look at this stuff as compare and contrast. It's not there to replace the original, but, you know, when they don't tell you that it's a remix, that's the issue I have with it. But, all right, my recommend this week sort of ties back into the first item that I showed, which was the new Peter Gabriel. My recommend, and I don't have a new copy of this to show them. I'm going to show this very nice used copy, but it's Peter Gabriel, the fourth album, called Peter Gabriel. In America, it was called Security. And this album originally came out 1982. And so it was his fourth solo record after leaving Genesis. And it features 8 songs. I'm not sure why. I think the American record company was sort of like, you can't just keep calling all of your albums your name. We need more indication than that. So there's nothing on the cover that says Security, but that was sort of the name they gave it. But yeah, this the hit song from this was Shock the Monkey, which was his first top 40 hit in the US. Or I think it made actually top 20 or 25. Anyway, so that song got played a lot, sort of kind of looking through the eyes of a primate at what humans do in the world, and had a very like shocking video, great video at the time. But let's see. So this album, you know, there's a lot of people that ended up working with Gabriel to this day are still were featured on this album, whether it was Tony Levin, Jerry Marotta, you know, a lot of these kind of people that are amazing session players that are still with him. And this album took a little bit of a turn from the previous one. The third album, which featured The Melting Face, that was the one with Biko, I Don't Remember, Games Without Frontiers. That was kind of like a sort of a breakthrough again for him as a solo, but it had a sort of like a very dark and angular textures. It was the first album, I think, that he was working real heavily with the Fairlight synthesizer. Kate Bush was featured on backing vocals on that album. This album was a little bit more airy in the mix, I suppose. There was a lot more drumming on this album, but tribal drumming. He started embracing even more the sort of world music cultures and stuff. And so it begins with Rhythm of the Heat, which was basically kind of written based on Carl Jung, his trips to Africa, watching tribal drumming. And the way the song builds is just like you feel like you're sort of in like this African tribe with this incredible rhythm. I suppose that in some ways people could probably view that as like cultural appropriation now, because you know, you have a white man writing a song about black culture and da-da-da. But if you were a kid, sort of like I was at the time, it was fascinating getting to hear music of other cultures presented in sort of a pop music type of way. The same thing with the second track, San Jacinto, which was sort of about Native Americans and how they were sort of being driven from their land and whatever. And that song is incredible, the way it's sort of Rhythm of the Heat has like a constant build, where San Jacinto has all these kind of layers and textures. You felt like Peter was still channeling that sort of prog rock side of himself there. I Have the Touch is a more kind of pop feeling song about like the importance of like um, touch basically and communication. Then it's followed by The Family and the Fishing Net, which is kind of like a voodoo wedding type situation of a song, darker and sort of edgy. Some of these songs are quite long too. And then second side starts with Shock the Monkey, Lay Your Hands on Me, another song sort of about healing and very evocative type of song. Wallflower, which was sort of about political prisoners in Latin America. Very kind of like a haunting, sort of more mellow song in a way, a little more ballady, but and then Kiss of Life is sort of like the optimistic sort of upbeat track at the end. This album really sort of laid the groundwork for what the following album would be, the one with all the big hits like Sledgehammer, Big Time, Don't Give Up, stuff like that. It's a great album, and it plays well as a full album, so I highly recommend if you haven't heard that. Older people like me have definitely heard that album. Young people, probably not so much. So go check that out. You might find like, oh, this was really good for the time that it came out, which is why people love him still so much to this day, and we're so excited about the new record. So anyway, thanks very much, and have a wonderful December, and yeah, it all starts within a matter of hours. So thanks again for all the prayers for my cat, and you all take care, and I'll see you here next week. I'm not sure with what. I will have my list of favorite albums of the year coming up, so that'll probably be in the next couple of weeks, so be tuning in for that if you care. All right, thanks again. See you guys. Take care.